This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo forecast. It is Friday, January the 19th. I hope you're having a great day. The weekend is upon us. I've got your weekend forecast, and of course we'll look deep into next week as well. And just like it has been in January, this is a more active pattern than usual for many of you. There's going to be a good chance for some rain and some persistent rain in some areas. We're going to continue to have some strong breezes and just some big change-ups in the weather for some of you here. So let's get into it. I appreciate you very much liking this video and supporting us here at Meteo Mundo. We'll start off this forecast video with a look at our visible satellite imagery on this Friday afternoon. Yet another cold front coming back in through South Florida, the Bahamas, and the Gulf of Mexico that is going to impact, again, the Bahamas and portions of the Yucatan. We have very strong easterlies continuing through the Western Atlantic, right on through the Caribbean, continuing to provide some moisture and rough surf and sea conditions for some areas as well. So there's going to be some areas where rain is the big story over the next 5 days. And then there's going to be some areas where wind is actually going to be the big story over the next 5 days. But with that wind in a lot of areas comes the chance for some showers as well. Let's start off. Let's switch over to our enhanced satellite imagery, and then we'll look at the upper level water vapor imagery. Now, again, it's January. So relatively speaking, at the upper levels of the atmosphere, the air is still relatively dry. Sans when you get to the cold fronts and you start to see that moisture come in with the thicker clouds across especially the central and northwest Bahamas right now, that'll be sinking back towards the Yucatan. And this will plague these areas with days of relatively cloudy skies, breezy conditions, and some wind-driven showers. Speaking of the winds right now, let's take a look first of all at the temperatures. That will come on your map here, and you'll see those that we're going to watch our temperatures drop again with the next front. Now, everything is relatively mild at this point in time, but there will be some winds that will begin to gust behind it. Now, they're just really starting to move into the southern United States with this front. The winds are freshening through Florida and portions of the northern side of the Gulf of Mexico. These are oil rigs, right, that are out there in the Gulf of Mexico that actually have weather reporting stations on them. And you can see, and some of them are also buoys as well. There's buoys and marine data in the oil rigs as well. All of these are being plotted on this map. But you get the idea that in the northern side of the Gulf of Mexico, we do have some winds right now that are already freshening up to around 30 miles an hour, and they're getting pretty persistent with that kind of wind. So it's going to be windy there. Now, let's also take a look real quick. Let's go back here to the wide view. I'll take off those numbers, and then I'll zoom back into the Bahamas because this is one of the areas that's going to see some rain here in the short term. We'll switch back over and put on our radar data here, and then I'll take off the satellite data. So we're going to see this moisture coming back in from the southeast Gulf of Mexico across South Florida and sneaking into places like Grand Bahama and Walker's Key and Bimini. It's going to gradually get wetter as we go later into our Friday, but especially into portions of the weekend here. It may not be very heavy rain, but there will be on and off showers moving across this area as we get into Saturday and Sunday. So once again, it's going to be a relatively wet forecast there. And then some of this rain here, of course, the radar is not in the Gulf of Mexico, but some of this rain will try and get back down into the Yucatan. It's going to be pretty wet for places like Cancun and Cozumel. So let's look at that. We'll take a look at the forecast here over the next 5 days. And coming up later in the video, I've got a breakdown of a lot of 5-day forecasts. Okay, a lot of rain chances over the weekend. I got you covered here across the area, so stick around for those 5-day forecasts because again, there's going to be some areas with some relatively high rain chances. Let me take the model here, make sure we get it out far enough in time. And let me just 1 second. Let's see here. That is not far enough in time. We'll go out to the 24th. That's where I wanted it to be. And we'll loop this up. So again, we'll talk about kind of the rest of this Friday, but then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as the 5-day forecast time frame. Once again, on the model, just look how much green there is, especially in the Bahamas and portions of the Gulf of Mexico and the Yucatan. We're still going to have our easterlies driving some showers through the Lesser Antilles. You know, we're still going to have some passing showers in those areas, but the areas with the highest rain chance and the most persistent rain will be in our northwest areas. And that does include the Northwest Caribbean and portions of Central America as well. Just a very active pattern, again, to continue to see here the high rain chances for late January. So let me stop this and we'll kind of go back and forth here. I'll start in the Bahamas and we'll take a look at the forecast here. So this is going to be overnight and then into tomorrow where the scattered showers will persist. Again, not a ton of rain tomorrow, but scattered rain. And it's going to be the same thing for your Sunday as well. You can see those scattered showers becoming even more widespread Sunday and into Monday. So for places like Freeport and Nassau and Georgetown and Arthurstown and, you know, all of Eleuthera and Abaco and Andros, a good chance for cloudy skies, at least some light showers coming from those clouds from time to time, kind of that stratus layer, that lower deck of clouds, and then some breezy conditions as well. This will begin to break apart as we go through Tuesday, but Sunday, Monday look relatively wet, and then the rain does fall apart mid to late week, but not completely. Not a fully dry forecast until maybe late Thursday and even to next Friday. So that's something I'll be monitoring for us here. But again, it's not going to add up to a ton of rain, but we're just not going to get the full sunshine that, you know, we get sometimes out of this. And again, this front hanging up over this area is going to be one of those issues. We'll look at the winds coming up in this area in a second. I do want to get to, again, an area that is going to be wetter, certainly than usual. And maybe you have travel plans to Cancun and Cozumel. So again, just like the Bahamas, later in the week, you'll begin to dry out. But look at the forecast for Saturday, especially Sunday into Monday. It's going to be pretty wet out there. They might dry out a little bit earlier than the Bahamas, but still the next couple days are going to be pretty wet. And you can see as we get into tomorrow morning, the front sags to the south. The rain comes along with it. You don't see anything more than greens on the map, which indicates lighter rain. Again, this is kind of the intensity of the rain up here. You get to the yellows, but especially the oranges and the reds. That's when you have that heavy rain. And there'll be some downpours associated with this, especially as we get into early next week, especially on Monday. And then beginning on Tuesday, things get drier for Cancun and Cozumel. But it's going to be wet in those areas. And it's going to be the same scenario for my friends in portions of Central America as well, especially on the northern coastline of Honduras, the coastline of Guatemala and Belize. From Roatan to San Pedro Sula and Belize City, we're going to have fairly persistent and strong easterlies that will drive in the moisture. And it is the early part of this forecast period with your best chance for some rain. I mentioned it in the last video that, you know, the model was trying to paint on a few inches of rain in these areas. Well, again, relatively wet conditions along the coastline. You can see as we get into late Sunday and Monday, it does begin to break apart. And by midweek, we do get drier. On over to my friends in Jamaica. This is an area that's kind of in between everything. This is an area where the wind is going to be the bigger story later in the week. I'm just going to put this into motion for us here. I'll zoom in just a little bit more for my friends there. But you can see there's not a lot of high rain chances. I can't rule out a few showers here and there, maybe maximizing a little bit on Monday, at least a higher chance compared to the other days. But even then, it'll be fairly spotty showers. Let me get back into that here. Again, this is Sunday, and then into Monday, you notice a little bit more moisture coming in. This would be Monday morning, kind of skirting the central and the northern sides of the island, but you don't see any big rain chance here. Let me know in the comments section below if you've gotten some rain in Jamaica lately, because if you have, I think you're going to be very lucky to have, because there's been many dry hours and locations. Now, one area that's going to see a big variability in their rain chance is going to be in Hispaniola. We'll start off relatively dry today, and tomorrow we'll pick up better chances for rain here, especially on the Dominican Republic side. And there's a nice little maximum of rain here coming up. So if we look at Saturday, you don't see a ton of rain across the island, again, especially on the Dominican Republic side. Now, as we get into Sunday, we'll start to see more showers coming up. It's because there's going to be a wind shift swinging a little bit more out of the south into the east, pulling in just a little bit more moisture, but it's enough to promote better rain chances. And that rain chance will be sticking around a bit more as we get into Monday. Scattered showers continuing once again because of the higher terrain and the rain shadow effect. It's much drier in Haiti compared to the Dominican Republic. So places like Santo Domingo and Punta Cana will continue to see the scattered showers in the forecast through at least mid next week. The easterlies continue for our friends in Puerto Rico and the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands. It continues to promote some small craft advisories with seas over 6 feet. It continues to promote high surf conditions out there. And this continues to be the big story here. Strong easterly winds throwing in more moisture than usual, providing us with the opportunity for some scattered rain. Once again, maybe your area gets rain 2 or 3 out of the next 5 days, but that is relatively high for late January, and especially on the northern side of the Leeward Islands, we have kicked up the surf and sea conditions on the northern and the eastern sides of those islands. Anguilla, Barbuda, Antigua, and portions of St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat would be mainly included in that. Same thing for the eastern side of BVI. U.S. Virgin Islands, not as much, but St. Croix would be an area that could kick up a bit as well. But you can just see again, as I let this run over the next 5 days, that we continue to see a fair amount of green on the map for us here. So rain will continue. The rain chance overall is going to be about 30 to maybe 40% most days, except by the end of the week. And I'll see if this holds true. Again, we're farther out in time as we get into the 23rd and beyond, but another batch of moisture coming in with a higher rain chance. But over the next few days for our friends here in the Lesser Antilles, it's going to be in that 30, maybe 40% range. Barbados included in that, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, even down towards Trinidad and Tobago. Again, spotty rain over the weekend. I think relatively speaking, the rain chance goes up at least a tick late mid to midweek next week, and maybe even sticking around towards late next week as well. So that's something that I'll be monitoring. And the ABC Islands will have the opportunity for a couple of showers as well. Again, it won't be as prominent here, but Aruba and Curacao and Bonaire, all with the opportunity for at least some scattered showers. The winds will be a big story in the ABC Islands, just like they're going to be in portions of Jamaica as well. Speaking of those winds, let's get into that. So I'm going to throw on our wind vectors here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and loop this up. Now it's going to take a little bit of time for the loop to fully catch up because it's a very long duration loop. There's a lot of information on this, but I want to certainly get into that. So as we're waiting for that to develop, I appreciate you liking this video. If you want the newest and the latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, just hit that subscribe button. We'll let you know when we're doing that. We'll talk about the other social media platforms that we're on as well. And I always appreciate my friends sharing the channel with your friends and family as well. Again, letting them get this important information. All right, so the model is beginning to almost fully catch up here right now. What are the big stories? We are going to see strong easterlies continue through the Lesser Antilles and then into the Caribbean. We're going to get another front coming in here to provide us more wind back into the Bahamas and portions of the Yucatan. I wish this was going a little bit faster, I'm not going to lie here, but hopefully it'll begin to pick up. It just has to basically get through one time and then it will finally do its thing. But again, there's a lot of data on this map, so when I don't show that first, I showed you the rain first, it takes a little bit of time for the computer to be able to pick up on all of it. But I believe it's there, which is great. So I'm going to let this run over the next 5 days. And again, on this map, the pinks and the purples are your stronger winds, and the arrows are bigger with the stronger winds as well. So you notice the blue and the silver arrows are a little bit lighter. So look at these east winds continuing. They're going to get really, really strong in the central Caribbean here as we get into mid and late in the week. Take a look at this. As we get towards the 23rd here, as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, these winds are going to be ripping across the Caribbean, and they'll begin to influence places like the ABC Islands and Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, and eventually towards the Caribbean coastline of Central America and the Yucatan as well. Just extremely strong winds. Those whites there, we're getting close to 30-knot winds in a sustained variety. It's extremely strong. Guess what, Lesser Antilles? You stay with your strong easterly winds. That's not going to change as well. So it's kind of wind and rain over the next 5 days for the Lesser Antilles. It's more about the wind in the ABC Islands and Jamaica, a mix again in Hispaniola and in Puerto Rico. I think it's still more about the rain in Central America, but the winds will be freshening up. And then it's a mixed bag for the Bahamas. Again, you're more influenced by actual cold fronts this time of the year. You get the bigger wind shifts, the bigger temperature differences as well. Again, by midweek, we start to pick up more of a southeast wind ahead of the next front coming in late next week. But it's a brisk north wind here over the next couple of days. They're going to make things cooler there as well. So again, fairly speaking, there's just a lot going on here across our area. Let's take a look at some of those forecasts. I'm going to start with my friends in Nassau. Once again, if we get a little bit of sun on Saturday, consider yourselves lucky, but I expect it to be mostly cloudy. It's going to be cloudy on Sunday and Monday with light showers in the forecast the majority of Sunday and cooler. The high in Nassau, just 70 degrees. Cloudy skies on Monday, breezy conditions 74. Once the sun returns, we do begin to warm back up, 79 on Tuesday, 80 on Wednesday. For my friends in Kingston, I love you guys there, Portmore, Spanish Town, across the island. Wish I had a little bit better chance for rain. And again, if you've caught a few showers, let me know in the comments section below. But relatively speaking, I think it's just some stray showers. I'm going to be optimistic and put a 40% chance for rain in on Monday. And then the story, again, beginning on Tuesday, are those windy conditions moving in. We could have southeast winds over 20 knots on the southern side of the island, maybe even gustier than that. It's obviously going to kick up surf and sea conditions, and that's something I'll be quickly monitoring and closely monitoring for next week. And look at these temperatures. The humidity is still out there as well. For Cancun, again, maybe your travel plans take you there either to enjoy the area or you're just going there on a cruise ship. Scattered showers tomorrow, 50% chance for rain. Here's your wet forecast. Sunday and Monday, 70 to an 80% chance for showers. Tuesday, it's a 30% chance. Wednesday, it's 20. Now, stick around. We'll take a look at the total rain coming up in just a minute across all of these areas. Here's the rain chance across other locations that I've chosen. Again, I've chosen a kind of a wide variety across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. You can see those rain chances. The rain chance going up in Freeport, although most of the rain will be just south of you. Nassau will have a better chance for rain on Sunday than Freeport will. Barbados, the 30% chance for scattered showers. The rain chance improving again in the Dominican Republic beginning on Sunday and sticking around the majority of early next week. Puerto Rico, not as much rain, but passage showers. Roatan will see a good chance for some rain, but also the potential for some heavier rain there, and the scattered showers for my friends in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, before we get into the total rain chance, I do want to mention the other social media platforms that we're on, because I do have one request for you. We're really trying to up our viewership on TikTok, and we're doing 30-second forecast videos there. So find us at Meteo Mundo on TikTok and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. We're getting a lot of views on those TikTok videos that we do. We don't have a ton of subscribers yet, but if you want to find out those latest kind of quick snippet forecast videos, right there, TikTok, Meteo Mundo. You can also find us on Instagram, on X. We have a Facebook page. And again, mymetiomundo@gmail.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Okay, let's go back over and take a look at the total rain here. So let me again choose one snippet in time. We'll go out to the 24th, 7 a.m. I think that's good. So a little bit more than 5 days. And we'll take a look again. It is an exceptional front in an exceptional 5-day forecast in January to throw this much rain in the Gulf of Mexico. I know that's in the open waters, but you get the idea. Now for Cancun. This is not just going to be light rain, maybe 3 inches of rain over the next 5 days. There could certainly be some heavier showers. I was trying to get Cozumel in that view as well here. Let me see if I can zoom back in. Cozumel, close to 2 inches. Cancun, closer to 3. Significant rain is possible across the Yucatan. Same scenario for my friends from Roatan. The model's a little bit lower today, but if that rain falls just a little bit farther east, you don't have 1 inch of rain in Roatan, you have more than 2. And it's the same thing for Belize City, right along the immediate coastline, about 1.5 inches of rain. But again, this is late January. There's a lot of high moisture content. As I have mentioned, The rain gets to be a lot more sparse when you get into Jamaica. There's just not as much. If we catch a heavier shower, it'll more than likely be on Monday on the northeast coastline near Port Antonio, and then places like Montego Bay and Negril and Kingston will not have as much rain. And again, the bigger story will be more about the wind. Let's go up to the Bahamas. Again, this is an area that has a good chance for rain, but I've mentioned that it's going to be light, more stratiform rain. The low gray clouds, but you don't get a lot of heavy rain out of that. And that's the scenario. We see maybe a quarter to, I would say potentially up to a ½ inch of rain, and that's mainly going to fall on Sunday and Monday. For my friends in the Dominican Republic, you can clearly see the rain shadow effect with the mountainous terrain in the central part of the island. You get upwards of 2 inches of rain on the northern coastline, towards Santo Domingo near an inch. La Romana, ½ inch to an inch of rain. Punta Cana, about the same thing, and then it's basically dry for Port-au-Prince and Lukai. And will favor the eastern sides of the islands in the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Again, scattered rain there. I don't see a ton of heavier rain, but pockets of heavier downpours from time to time. Surf and sea conditions will be the biggest story for Anguilla in Barbuda and Antigua, but the passing showers that come along with that will certainly be a part of the story as well. It's about a ½ inch of rain over the next 5 days for you guys. Once again, the model continues to favor the eastern sides of the islands in Martinique and Dominica and St. Lucia, but the entire islands, even the western sides, will get some scattered showers. Barbados, right about a ½ inch of rain. This is very uniform until you get down towards Grenada and Tobago, where we start to pick up more around an inch of rain, a little bit lower in Trinidad. And a real quick look at the ABC Islands. Again, I mentioned there, it's more about the strong winds later in the week, but you know, we could get a few scattered showers for both Bonaire and Curacao back over towards Aruba. Okay. I think we've done a pretty good job, haven't we, kind of going over everything for us here. Let me get back over to one more wide view. And again, this is what's happening on this Friday. I'll keep an eye on the forecast across the weekend, friends. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you again so much for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll keep you updated. Have a great one. We'll see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.